So much is different here in this new school
Oh,
that
man.
many young people need help in.
You see this kid here? This happens a lot. All right, welcome back to another School Principal Reacts. This is Brandon here coming to you with another quite an old training film of sorts. It's called Your Junior High Days. It is from 1963. As you can see here with the clothing and the hairstyles are just a bit different, roughly 60 years ago, which seems crazy to me. But I've been enjoying doing these. A lot of you all have said you enjoyed them. Very interesting to me because of my career that I've had and continue to have. But I can't wait to see what they're going to say here about this or what this is about. I did notice it seems to be from McGraw-Hill, which is still a big education curriculum company today. So they've been around quite a long time. I think they produced that other video I watched from 1947 about classroom discipline. Check it out if you haven't seen it. But I'm excited to get into this one with you today. If you're not subscribed to my channel, take a minute and click the button below to subscribe. I really appreciate it, but let's get into the video. McGraw-Hill. There it is, McGraw-Hill. All right, your junior high days. Yep, 1963, Junior High Guidance Series. And by the way, many of you know this already, but junior high schools, you don't see those as much anymore. I'm sure there are places that have them, but I remember back in the day, there was a junior high school when I was coming up through elementary school, but they renamed it. They renamed it to a middle school and changed a little bit the structure. I know a lot of junior highs operated almost like a mesh between middle school and what a lot of people have nowadays called a freshman academy or a ninth grade academy, because ninth graders are just a little bit different. Any teacher or educator will probably agree with me on that. But junior highs, from what I remember, encompassed like 7th through 9th grade. So students would be a little bit older than middle school, but not quite high school. You still hear the term senior high school for this reason. A senior high school meaning like grades 10th, 11th, and 12th. Nowadays, I would say most places just have high school, middle school, high school. Middle school being grades 6 through 8, most commonly students between the ages of 11 and 14, and then high school, which would be 9th grade through 12th grade. Students are typically between the ages of 14 and 18 at that school. So let's continue on. EDD, the Bureau of Special Services for Pupils.
It's a big step, or rather a lot of different steps you take when you make the changeover from elementary school to junior high.
Oh, straight from elementary to junior high. Okay, which, you know, I guess that is what would typically happen. There was really no middle school. Again, I mentioned the transition from the junior high concept to middle school. So I suppose students would go to elementary school up through maybe 6th grade. And there are still schools today where that happens. I also hear the term upper elementary school if you have like a primary school model in your school district, which is typically like pre-kindergarten through 2nd grade, 2nd or 3rd grade. But this is junior high school.
So much is different here in this new school that
man.
many young people need help in.
You see this kid here? This happens a lot, even today. So not so much junior high school, but when middle schoolers go to high school for the first time, it's the first time where you must get yourself to class. So typically in middle school, even all the way through 8th grade, where students are typically 13, 14 years old, you are led by the teacher, right? If you need to go to a different place or a different class, or you're changing classes, a lot of times you kind of get in line or you go all at the same time and you're all going to the same next class, and there's none of this, just go to class yourself. You are either escorted by the teacher or you're sent and you're supervised as you go in a very structured process, and you're all going to the same place. That's the biggest thing. In high school, or in this case, junior high school, I guess you have your own schedule that's very individualized and not like other students. You may have different classes at different times, and this kid has a paper schedule. I'm guessing this is his schedule, and he's trying to find his next class. This happens at just about every school. So the first week, especially with brand new students, they don't know where anything is. And they will often be found standing in the hallway. It's like this, looking at their schedule, trying to find it or asking questions. Where is room 301 or whatever it is? And so it's funny. So much about school life has changed since this time, 1963, but this hasn't changed. This is one thing that hasn't changed. A kid in the middle of the hall looking at the schedule, looking around at the different rooms. That still happens even today.
Getting off to a good start.
Student handbook, the student handbook. So I am not really sure how it existed at this time, but apparently there was a student handbook, which looks tiny. It looks like maybe it has, 6 or 7 pages, and that's it. School handbooks today are full size, meaning on 8.5 by 11-inch paper, and typically are, 40, 50, 60 pages. They're massive. They're massive. Why are they massive? Well, because we have a lot more issues here in 2026, not just student discipline, although that is part of it. I mean, think about it. You didn't have, cell phones, social media, cyberbullying. You didn't have any bullying laws or anything like that to put in there. It was just far simpler. I'm not saying it's better, because there are a lot of things that probably went unaddressed during that time, but you did have less that you would have in your school handbook, I suppose.
In the next few minutes, we're going to turn a lens on this institution called junior high to see which steps can help you get off to a good start.
Okay.
The first thing anyone notices on the first day at junior high is people. Lots and lots of people.
Okay.
Getting used to the fact that you are one among many, and what that will mean to you, is a part of making a good start.
Okay,
and what
fair
does
enough.
this much larger group mean to you? It means, happily, that you will have many more opportunities to make friends than you had in the elementary school.
Yeah, I guess that's true, because in elementary school you would be with the same group of students all the time. I guess that's what the narrator means here. In high school or junior high school, you're going to be around different people during different segments of the day. So I guess technically that's true.
It also means that you will be included in something big, a school with its own traditions, its own teams, its exciting long-time rivalries with other schools for academic as well as athletic superiority.
Okay. And I noticed that they seated, this is obviously a school gym, and they're either watching a basketball game or something else happen on the basketball court. And you got the girls on one side, the boys on the other side, which have not seen that in my career, but I have seen that in other movies and things. But you typically don't have that today, where you're separated like this.
You'll probably have your own cheerleaders wearing your school colors.
Yeah, and you notice the style with the everything about this is just so different than today.
And maybe you'll even wear those colors yourself as you share in the fun of singing your school song or urging on the team with your school cheers.
I mean, yeah, that hasn't changed at all. And cheerleaders standing in front of a group like this, and you notice they did like a little move one by one, and the narrator talks about school colors. I mean, that is very, very true and prevalent today.
But being a part of a much larger group also means that the competition will be tougher. If you've been tops in your class before, it can be a jolt to discover that there are other people who are smarter, or more attractive, or more popular, or more skilled than you.
I probably wouldn't have said it like that. I was with him until he said smarter and more attractive. I mean, I don't know why you need to mention that. But he is right about just very generally the level of competition academically. So he needs to stick to the academically, but it is true. So if you were top of the class in middle school, for instance, nowadays we would say middle school to high school instead of elementary to junior high. I mean, it is very true that you are competing against everyone in your graduating class. You have a class rank typically. So if you're not familiar with that, your class, your transcript, as far as your high school transcript, begins when you enter ninth grade, or in this case, junior high, I guess. But I would often tell ninth graders, I would meet with them the first week every single year, typically the first day. I would do that as principal. And I would, talk about the rules and everything that they need to do. But I would also say, now begins your transcript. So a lot of people, unfortunately, they have a hard time, or they don't, adjust to high school, and they don't do well academically their first year. And so when they're a senior and they want to be an honor graduate or valedictorian or whatever, they are often held back by grades that they made in ninth or 10th grade. Many, many times, at least probably 10 times that I can remember offhand, I would have someone that could have been valedictorian because they were plenty smart, and their habits when they were a junior and senior were very, very good. They would get straight A's, if not hundreds, on all their stuff, but they weren't quite that way when they were ninth grade, and they made, even if they didn't fail a class, they would make a B or a C in there, and there would be other people that didn't do that. That would cost them either being valedictorian or an honor graduate, which honor graduate typically means that you're just in the top portion of your class. It's different from place to place, but you're in the top portion of your graduating class academically. This also holds true. I see this even more often when you go from high school to college. Many, many times there have been people that were either valedictorian or an honor graduate in high school because maybe they were smart, but they didn't have to work very hard because there was not as much competition, like this narrator is saying. And then they go to college and they are not used to working hard. And so there are people, especially at a very highly ranked college, where everybody was at the top of their class, and everybody was either valedictorian, salutatorian, or an honor graduate. And so when you're compared against those sorts of people, you often fall behind, unfortunately.
And if you haven't been particularly outstanding before, it may be discouraging to find out how many more there are ahead of you now than there used to be.
Yeah, this guy is sort of taking a negative tone, but he's not wrong here.
But remember, you are still you with the same abilities you had before.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. I'm glad he followed up with that, because more often than not, it's not that the person is not smart or is not capable or athletic or whatever, like you see here with the basketball, but it's just that they need to adjust. They need to adjust mentally. Okay, I need to up my game. I can't just rest on my natural talent and not work hard anymore, but I need to really up my game.
In junior high, there will be more competition for everything: athletics, scholarship, friends, and even for class offices where only one can win.
Okay.
What you have to do in the face of this increased competition is hang on to your self-respect. In some areas, you may never be tops. In others, you may have to work hard to make a good showing. Nevertheless, you are worthy of respect.
And that's true. That's true, having self-respect. The only thing that I'm skeptical about, and I don't like so much about this outlook, is the attitude that you have to be the best. You have to be the best, the top of your class. Now, there's nothing wrong with striving for that, okay? It's a very good goal. It can be a very healthy goal to strive to be the top of your class or whatever. That's good. That's good. But I heard someone say, it was a school superintendent once, that said, success looks different for every person. And that's very true. I think what you should strive for, even more than being the best or the top, because I have seen that lead to certain emotional problems or issues in people if they have unrealistic goals and they don't meet their unrealistic goal, and then they have problems as a result of that. There's nothing wrong with striving for that, though. I want to make that clear. But the notion that you always 100% of the time have to be the best or number one, top of your class, can lead to some unhealthy outlooks. I've seen that in real life with real people that I've known. However, I think you should be focused on growth, personal growth, wherever you happen to be at academically or whatever you're striving for. As long as you're growing, that's the important thing.
Alignment straight and not depend on the person beside you.
Cheating. And look at this writing here. It's just a little different. A lot of places don't even really teach cursive anymore. That's a whole nother subject of discussion. I'll have people say, yes, cursive is very important and we should teach it, or no, it's not. It's obsolete. That's a whole nother discussion.
It's up to you to keep track of your gym clothes, your books, and your other possessions.
This is interesting. So not all schools make students do that, the dress out. Some do, some don't. It depends on the way they're set up and if they're able to do that or not. Most do, in my experience, but I've seen some that don't. It's sort of gross depending on what they have them do. But the little wire baskets here, that's really interesting. I've never seen that before.
Since you have a different teacher for every...
Yeah, that wasn't scripted at all. Did you see at the exact same moment, everybody raised their hand? Not scripted at all, I'm sure.
class, it's up to you to look out more for yourself. Your teachers will not be able to spend as much time with each student as they did in elementary school.
I guess that's true, but they should strive to do so. Like a lot of teachers I've spoken to have invited students to come on their planning period or before or after school. They can't always do that, but most teachers that I've known have been expected to offer at least a time. They have their planning time, which is important for them, and they're not required to constantly stay after school, but they should be making some sort of allowance for students. Some people prefer to schedule a certain day, maybe one day a week or during a certain portion of their planning or during lunch, just depending on that teacher's personal preference.
You can get helpful advice from your school counselor, who is anxious to talk with both you and your parents about a choice of courses and any other problems you may have.
Yeah, that's very true. So I'm glad to hear about the school counselor. Very, very true what he's saying. I've never seen a group of people in a school counselor's office that are this formally dressed, right? So number one, the counselor is wearing a full suit. The person's father presumably is wearing a full suit. The woman here is wearing a formal dress. I mean, have I seen that before? I don't even know if I've seen it before where everyone is dressed that way and it's like a routine, counseling appointment. They're smiling, so nothing traumatic has happened. So just a little different.
You'll find many opportunities to develop new interests here at junior high. Maybe on the school paper staff or in the marching band.
All right, you got the band here. And these are a little different style of uniforms. I do kind of feel sorry for these kids because they can be quite hot in them. But yeah, we got the school band here. And he mentioned the school paper. Even today you've got that. You've got the school newspaper, although you don't always call it a newspaper. Depending on the style of publication, it might have a more digital or modern name than that.
Or the orchestra. Or the photography club.
Ooh. Yeah, that's a little different. They've got the film here and developing them on whatever these machines are. I don't know anything about developing photography. That would be a little different than today. But he is right in one thing. You've got different opportunities. You've got extracurricular activities. You've got different clubs that exist in high school that don't typically exist in middle or elementary school, or at least not at this level, and you've got different things that you can branch out into. That's absolutely true.
Selecting subjects in junior high, you should consider your talents, interests, and abilities.
Yeah?
Those subjects which give you the most satisfaction may prove to be a lifelong hobby.
True. And in high school, you do get to pick part of your schedule, at least part of it, particularly the electives. That's what electives mean. You elect them. In other words, you choose them. Now, typically, the younger you are in high school, the less of a priority you are given. In other words, you may not get your first choice, but you are allowed to have some voice at the very least. And he's right here. I've known plenty of people, and you probably have as well, that they take an elective in art or whatever it is, or band, or some other activity that ends up becoming some sort of lifelong pursuit or even a career path.
Or more important, they may become the basis of a vocation.
Yeah, like I was saying.
In any case, making the most of an opportunity you have now will serve you well. Make the most of junior high. This is a goal for you. Make the most of your chances to work with others in a group.
Mm-hmm.
Make the most of your opportunities to acquire information and self-discipline through study and homework.
And while some of these ideas are somewhat antiquated, this is a little bit different than some of the other films, the older films that I've seen. I agree with more things that I disagree with in this film. It's still very different in certain places, but I don't disagree with a lot of this.
Make the most of your chances to have a good time with all kinds of people.
That makes me think of a pep rally. I don't know if they had pep rallies in the same way that they have them today back in 1963, but you saw somebody like pulling some kids on some sort of wheeled little platform, like they were doing a little silly game, which you definitely have today in pep rallies, typically prior to some sort of rival school sporting event.
Attention to only one area which is spelled out in your handbook: the rules and regulations.
Rules and regulations.
Learning them is one step in getting off to a good start.
And I've never seen it like that big, bold print, rules and regulations, very sort of heavy-handedly. A lot of schools do have what they call a code of conduct, which sometimes is a totally separate book that can be quite thick because some students nowadays can be quite inventive. And even now with these thick handbooks, you will have things that will happen that are not explicitly covered. And a lot of times there's a statement in there that says, the school principal has the administrative discretion to act, pretty much anything that's not covered, the principal can decide what to do. All right, well, I'm going to end the video here. I watched most of it. I did skip certain parts that were a little slower, let's say, but I really enjoyed this. A lot of this is still true today. Not all of it. There's a lot of things that, have changed quite a bit, but some of the things that he's mentioning, particularly the transition, right? In this day, it was from elementary to junior high, but nowadays it's in most places, middle school to high school. I feel like some of these still ring true today. Let me know what you thought. Let me know if this sort of transition was typical for you. How was your transition to either elementary to junior high or middle school to high school? Let me know in the comments. I'm anxious to hear what you have to say, and do subscribe to the channel also down below here if you're not yet a subscriber to the channel. But I'll leave the video here and go ahead and end it. I hope you join me on my next video here on School Principal Reacts. Thanks for watching.